the last generation to grow up without screens. There was a generation that grew up without a screen in their pocket. Not because they were deprived, but because the world simply hadn't built one yet. They are, without knowing it, the last generation who will ever remember life before the glow of a screen followed them everywhere they went. If you were a child before smartphones existed, you remember mornings that started with sunlight instead of notifications. You woke up because of birds outside your window, not because of a buzzing phone beside your pillow. Breakfast happened at a table, not scrolling through a feed. Nobody checked anything before saying good morning. School days ended with the sound of a bell, and after that, the world belonged to you. There was no group chat to check, no messages waiting. You grabbed a bike, found a friend, and disappeared into the neighborhood until hunger or nightfall called you home. Boredom back then didn't last very long. Within minutes, someone found a stick that became a sword, a fence that became a balance beam, or an empty lot that became a kingdom only kids could see. Imagination filled every gap that a screen would later fill instead. Friendships were built face to face. You didn't know someone's life through a highlight reel. You knew them because you sat beside them at lunch, because you traded comic books on their porch, because you got in trouble together and stayed loyal anyway. Trust was built in person, one afternoon at a time. Family dinners still had everyone's full attention. No one glanced down at a table between bites. Conversations sometimes turned into arguments, sometimes into laughter, but they always happened eye to eye. Nobody was ever half present. If you wanted to know something, you asked a person, opened a book, or waited for the encyclopedia to answer. Curiosity took time back then. It wasn't answered in half a second by a glowing rectangle. That patience quietly taught an entire generation how to sit with not knowing. Photographs were rare and treasured. You didn't take 100 pictures hoping one would be perfect. You took one, maybe two, and trusted the moment enough not to interrupt it by trying to capture it twice. Memories lived mostly in the mind, not on a hard drive. Long car rides meant staring out the window, watching the world blur by, daydreaming without a device to distract you. Silence wasn't something to fill. It was simply part of the ride. Report cards were shown in person, hugs were given in person, apologies were said in person. Nothing important ever happened through a screen because there was no other option. Every meaningful moment demanded your full presence, whether you wanted to give it or not. Then, slowly, everything began to change. Phones got smaller. Internet got faster. Screens appeared in pockets, then on wrists, then seemingly everywhere at once. This generation watched the shift happen in real time. They remember both worlds, the one before and the one after, standing exactly on the bridge between them. They are the last people who will ever know what a childhood without notifications actually felt like. Every generation after them will be born already inside the glow, unaware that another version of childhood ever existed. That doesn't make new generations worse. Technology has connected people across incredible distances, made information available in an instant, and created opportunities that didn't exist before. Those are real blessings, and no one should pretend otherwise. But something quiet was lost too. The art of being simply, fully bored. The trust built through presence instead of profile pictures. The patience of waiting for an answer instead of demanding one instantly. The stillness of a car ride with nothing but your own thoughts for company. Ask anyone who remembers both worlds, and they'll tell you the same thing. It wasn't that life was easier back then. It was that life was slower, and somehow, within that slowness, people noticed each other more. They noticed the way afternoon light hit the porch. The sound of bicycle wheels on pavement. The particular laugh of a childhood best friend. Small things that never needed to be posted anywhere to feel important. Maybe that is the real inheritance of that generation. Not nostalgia for old technology, but a quiet memory of what full presence actually felt like. A memory that reminds all of us, no matter how advanced the world becomes, that connection was never really about the device in our hand. It was always about the people in front of us. The last generation to grow up without screens didn't know they were living through something that would disappear. They were simply living, fully, in the only world they knew. And maybe the greatest gift they can give the rest of us is a gentle reminder to look up more often, to put the phone down sometimes, and to remember that the richest moments in life have never needed a screen to be real.